Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Tomorrow night, this is pretty exciting. We've got GCW. Winter is super cold.
Cold this winter. Winter Wonder Slam.
Winter Wonder Slam. And it's the final night. Winner will be decided.
I believe you're up by one, correct?
I am up by 1 point, 105 to 104 in the Enforcer, trailing by a whopping 20-plus points behind us. He's at 81 points. I'm not going to say he's completely out of it, but he's completely out of it. It's down to Steve versus Larson for Big Red. That's it.
Yeah.
So come hang out with us tomorrow.
Yeah. Big Red's coming home right there, right where that flower is.
Could be. I'm kind of torn, to be honest with you. You know why? Because we had such a great reception for that last video, the trade-off. Exactly. I like the content, man.
Exactly.
So I got to put my own ego aside.
Take a dive.
My own ego aside, which I can't. Well, okay, so here's the thing. This is the great thing about it, though. I wouldn't even know how to take a dive with this card. Give me your early prediction here. Lindsay Mascaris Dorada versus Gringo Loco. On one hand, it's the debut of formerly known as Grand Metalik. On the other hand, Gringo Loco's their guy. For all we know, they want to push their guy.
One thing I learned about the Hammerstein show, and yeah, that could be an outlier, is they don't really care about pushing their
That's the truth. That's the truth.
So
I know.
I'd probably go.
I was thinking I'm probably going to go with Grand Metalik. I'll probably go with Thunder Rosa versus
1000%
Tony Deppen.
Thunder Rosa, because if we learn anything from the Hammerstein show, is that AEW talent is not going to lose.
That is 100%. A really fun looking show, though, that GCW, and they got a lot of great matches usually. So yeah. Anyways, we got a lot to get through tonight, man. This is not just a SmackDown and Rampage review.
I'll be honest. I kind of feel like the SmackDown and Rampage review aspect of the show is going to be the smaller aspect of the show, because there's a lot of news to get through today. A lot.
Hey, can we? I know we say that a lot. In this show, can we commit to that?
Sure.
To reviewing SmackDown and Rampage?
10-minute SmackDown review.
And then a 7-minute Rampage? Well, we usually do that in like less than 5, I think.
Yeah, 5 to 7. Yeah, well, we'll say 15 for SmackDown. 7 minutes.
I'm going to set
Rampage.
a timer for SmackDown.
All right, we do that because we got a lot of news. First aspect, this came up during SmackDown, this bit. So WWE tweeted out during SmackDown, I believe, at least that's when I noticed it. The following, quote, breaking, Vince McMahon will join Pat McAfee next Thursday on the Pat McAfee show. So Vince doesn't do a whole lot of press, media interviews, period.
He barely talks on those quarterly earnings calls.
Yeah. So it's pretty surprising that he would show up to do an interview on Pat McAfee's show. Of course, Brock Lesnar did one a couple weeks ago. Adam Cole's been on. Several other WWE superstars. Well, shortly thereafter, that news broke. Post Wrestling reported that the following, quote, Vince McMahon is expected to launch a program with Pat McAfee, which will include WrestleMania 38. Multiple sources informed us that McAfee was set for something on the show involving McMahon. When speaking with a source with knowledge of the situation, whether it will be billed as an official match on the WrestleMania card, we were told most likely. I would be beyond shocked if Vince stepped foot in the ring to actually wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he'll have a proxy. Mm-hmm. And it's entirely possible that Pat McAfee might have a proxy too, depending on his interest level in wrestling. Again, we've seen him wrestle. We know he can wrestle. Whether he wants to.
Listen, he can wrestle. He's going to wrestle. I have zero inside sources except for common sense. Cody's been signed, and he's taking on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee literally just referenced Cody being signed, or Cody coming into WWE, referencing the rumor. And he said, screw that guy. What do I care? Who cares? But then he turned around and said, it's great. It's awesome. Jokingly, people are going to, you're saying, no, you're throwing cold water. What do you think?
Here's what it's going to be. Vince, his proxy is going to be Austin Theory. Pat's proxy might be Cody Rhodes.
Oh, hey. Hey, there you go.
Because wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Vince kind of being the heel in the Austin Theory story. I mean, Austin Theory's a heel too, but it's like the heel coaching up the heel.
Yeah.
Cody's showing up. He's going to be the face.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves Pat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if anybody's going to have Pat's proxy, and if Cody's involved, Cody's going to have Pat's proxy. Because Pat was like, jokingly talking some trash, but it's all,
Yeah, right. Yeah. But then he turned around and said, I'm excited about it. He's a huge name. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, I mean, it does seem like things are starting to come together. I know there's this Ringside News, I think, said something along the lines of Edge, his match has been figured out at this point.
Yeah.
We don't often reference them, but lately they have been right about some stuff. So it does seem like 5 weeks out. Remember last year, it felt like 2 weeks out, things weren't really settled into place.
I know.
But with Kevin Owens having tweeted, I think it was like yesterday, running down Texas again, it made me thinking, I wonder if they're getting close to maybe solidifying Stone Cold, maybe in a match against him. I don't know. I feel like things are starting to fall into place.
Yeah, maybe.
And I wonder if they're trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do with Cody, and maybe this is the thing. This is the deal. So that's great. I love Pat McAfee. I think this could be a lot of fun if this is the way they're going to introduce Cody.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Speaking of Cody, of course, the wrestling world was buzzing over the last, week and a half or so about Cody leaving AEW, potentially going to WWE. Well, according to Fightful Select, by the way, go subscribe to Fightful Select. They do great work over there at Fightful Select. Things have been, quote, quiet over the last week regarding Cody heading to the Federation. WWE, Fightful's WWE sources have specifically used caveats such as if Cody Rhodes comes in and if Cody Rhodes pops up. And Fightful notes that they haven't heard of, quote, anyone speaking of plans creatively for him as of yet. Fightful reached out to Cody himself, who apparently responded that he was, at this point, quote, a stay-at-home dad now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But see, to their credit, WWE can keep things under wraps. They are able to do that from time to time. So yeah.
Doesn't seem to happen very often, though.
I mean, there's what was it like? Wasn't Christian like a surprise at the Rumble a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
I think they were able to keep that one under wraps. Edge, was Edge a surprise or did Edge?
No, there was all sorts of reports that he was coming back weeks, if not months.
Yeah,
prior to
like
him
they
coming
saw
back.
him at the doctor and stuff. Yeah, that was
in
one
Pittsburgh. There's all sorts of things. He was actually had to go to Twitter and was like, "No, I'm not coming back."
Yeah, but then he had like posted stuff too. Anyway.
Yeah, he was coming back. Totally.
So yeah, that's yeah. I like that. I like being surprised, man. If it's our job to know stuff, and obviously you mentioned Fightful Select, we're subbed over there. We're subbed to, I don't know, like PW Insiders Elite or something like that. Of course, the Wrestling Observer. There's a ton of great, solid wrestling journalists out there who usually get it right. But yeah, a good surprise every once in a while.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I'm into it. I like it.
Heck yeah. Speaking of surprises, a bit surprising yesterday, we heard that Cesaro. A bit surprising. We heard that Cesaro had left WWE. I think it was surprising for, at least speaking for myself, because I thought he was under a contract for longer than a year.
I think everybody thought that, man.
The fact that he'd want to leave wasn't that surprising anyway. So in the most recent Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer has potentially some more information about what led to his departure. Steve, you want to read this quote?
Yeah, sure. This is from the Wrestling Observer himself. It says, given the huge money they've offered others whose deals have been up, Zayn, Owens, and Styles, it would indicate Cesaro did not get that level of an offer. He also hadn't gotten any backdoor AEW offer when he was negotiating, so it wasn't that he got a better offer elsewhere. So just to pause there, a backdoor thing is how they get around tampering. You send like a proxy over and you're like, hey, word is you might be able to get this much if things don't work out here. He says, continues, that isn't saying AEW may not make an offer now that he's a free agent. Right now, he's leaving the promotion unless something changes. This was more of a WWE decision than a Cesaro decision in the sense that he wasn't looking to leave like the others were, but they made an offer he didn't like. He's free to go anywhere immediately.
So I guess it's entirely possible that a few weeks, a couple months might pass. Maybe he'll take some independent dates, and then he might show back up in WWE. If
he's happy taking less money, yeah,
maybe, or they decide that for whatever reason they want to up their offer if they want to keep him around.
I always like your optimism. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I really feel like I'm the optimistic one between us.
That's why I like when you are optimistic.
Oh, all right.
I don't know, man. I can understand if, look, he's not, oh, God. He is one of the best workers the WWE has. We can agree on that 100%.
Absolutely.
He's not the character that Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, or Sami Zayn are. Sami Zayn's on a whole new level these days.
Yeah.
He is doing amazing work.
He is.
Kevin Owens is doing really good work. Sami Zayn's doing like career work right now, up there with like Rollins. AJ Styles, I feel like now that he's done sort of mentoring Amos, they're gonna do something with him big. He's probably gonna get the Edge match at WrestleMania.
I would imagine he's gonna face Edge at Mania. Yeah.
But yeah, Cesaro, I would imagine every promotion out there would want him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that anybody's gonna give him the kind of money that Styles, Zayn, or Owens would get.
Well, I don't know if there's any other company that can throw around that level of contract.
I know, right?
Apart from the very top of the card,
Mm-hmm, yeah. I mean, I have heard this. I've Dameth here in chat, and I heard this also in the comments. One of our comments, I think, somebody said that Tony Khan apparently had really liked Cesaro in Ring of Honor. He's been on record about that. But at the same time, as we learned with Cody, they do have somewhat of a talent budget over at AEW. Believe it or not, apparently, according to Meltzer, and I believe him on this stuff, he's got a budget. And I don't know, man. It's just for another really good worker. I don't know that AEW needs that right now. They have. We were just making, we were cracking wise about how deep this Revolution card is.
It's ridiculously deep.
What was it, like 12 matches at this point?
Nine matches. I joked
it's
9
matches now?
9.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not that far off. That's how believable it is.
Well, I'm about 33% off.
Yeah, 33.333.
On it goes.
And on it goes. So, yeah. Look, man, hopefully the dude finds something that makes him really happy.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Yeah, maybe he'll just take some time off. Maybe Maybe when they can't offer him in money, he'll find value in something else like fewer dates or something. I don't know. Let him. You know what? Maybe how about this?
Well, here's the thing. Hold on, let me get this point,
man.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention. His Twitch channel back.
Yeah,
that could go a long way.
Claudio's Cafe.
That's something that he could do in AEW. They couldn't do on the main roster.
All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word in from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So, Larson.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that relationships often take work. A lot of us will drop everything and go out of our way to help someone we care about. But how often do we give ourselves that same treatment?
BetterHelp is here to remind us that you got to take care of the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Several years ago, I started dealing with severe anxiety, and it was then that I learned firsthand how important it was to take care of myself and talk to a therapist. But I also learned that it can be really tough to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp's online therapy makes the process of finding a therapist much more convenient by offering video, phone, or even live chat therapy sessions. And you can be matched with your therapist in under 48 hours.
Just remember that you are your greatest asset, so invest as much time in yourself as you do the others in your life. Check out our sponsor, BetterHelp. And right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw.
That's BETTERHELP.com/raw. Before we get to our SmackDown and Rampage recaps, we do have some AEW news. They teased it. They announced it on Rampage tonight that this Wednesday, Tony Khan is making his huge announcement. So he spoke about this announcement on the most recent episode of Busted Open Radio. This is what Tony Khan had to say. Quote, "I'm going to tell everyone right now, you definitely don't want to miss Wednesday Night Dynamite next week. I've been talking a lot about a big announcement in the world of pro wrestling. Not only is there going to be a lot of great wrestling on the show, Casino Tag Battle Royal, 15 tag teams entering the ring. I'm going to add a lot more to the card, but I'm going to promise you guys right now that I have a huge announcement coming. Nobody knows what it is. It's going to be something very important in the wrestling business. It's not one particular piece of talent. It's something very special, and I'm excited about it. I believe it's something we'll be in position to announce on Wednesday, so I'm pretty excited about it. Khan also added the following while speaking to the State of Florida Sports podcast, quote, I'm going to make a historic announcement at the show in Jacksonville, which I'm really excited about, and it's only the beginning of a great week on the road to the Revolution pay-per-view. This might not be what it is. When I heard him talk about mentioning shows in Jacksonville this week, that's been the home of AEW, Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And now I don't see why he necessarily has to have an NDA attached to what I think at least part of the announcement might be. I would not be surprised if he announces, at least in part, a stadium show in Jacksonville, some sort of supercard maybe, which would maybe require an NDA, to take place at some point, maybe this summer, at the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt I felt like that would be the next logical step. Would be not just so I don't know that he'd need an NDA to talk about being at the stadium that.
Oh yeah,
the
probably
Jaguars
not. You know how much of that
but,
was him tongue in cheek saying NDA. I didn't watch the video, so I saw that he mentioned it on there. But anyways,
well, I wouldn't doubt that. But what he might need an NDA for is if he was going to run a super show there. It might be that it's not just going to be AEW involved. It might be, a parade of other promotions. Not Ring of Honor, but New Japan,
Impact, maybe.
Impact, maybe NWA. I don't know.
AAA.
Oh, I hope. God, I hope. So that's a distinct possibility. There's any number of other ideas on the table: a streaming service, buying Ring of Honor. Yeah, I don't know. He talks about it not being one particular talent, but it's good for the wrestlers. It's good for the fans. That, to me, screams super show. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, if you want to do it big, you do it in that stadium. That's a possibility as well. So, yeah. The fact that they only have 4 AEW pay-per-views a year leaves them plenty of time on the schedule to do it. Like you said, maybe in the summer in between Double or Nothing and All In. That's a possibility. Mm-hmm. All out. Sorry.
Or maybe they'll plan it for Full Gear next year. That's during the football season. They probably can't do that. Never mind. Or this year, Full Gear this year. But if it's November during the football season, probably not going to happen. They probably have to do it before the football season kicked off.
It'd be rad if he did this. Lights go up. He's on a motorcycle in the middle of the ring, and he challenges Vince McMahon.
All right, good. And then
to be at Revolution.
And then some other week he hops on the back of a garbage truck and rides through the snowy streets of Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Right.
To get to the venue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really need more Tony Khan on my screen. I want to be another Eric Bischoff. I think that's fair. That's fair to ask.
I actually kind of feel like Tony Khan making the decision to not be an on camera personality and character was probably the smart one.
Yeah, either way is good.
I wish we'd seen more before we get to SmackDown here. Remember that bit with someone recording behind the door and it was Mox and it was Tony Khan having that argument?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Give us more of that type stuff.
Give us some more of that type stuff, but instead of having Tony's voice, make it like a Charlie Brown parent.
All right.
Wah, 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 wah.
Or the teacher.
No, Tony.
Yeah.
Come on, Tony. Me and Brian, we want to get this match, and we want to team up afterwards. Wah, 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 wah. We want weapons. Wah, 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 wah. I need to bleed with people. Wah, 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 wah.
It won't count against my record. Fine, don't sanction it.
So that's good.
That's good. All right, SmackDown tonight.
We ripped through that news, didn't we?
that was 20 minutes almost.
Was that 20 minutes?
It was 18 minutes just about.
Dang. All right, I'm going to set my timer, man. Here.
Right.
Okay, so I think let's strategize real quick on how we're going to do
Sure.
Okay?
Well, I got something in the head of the notes, so start your timer. This is kind of the major thing. I feel like a couple major things, but this is the major thing. So it was actually announced before SmackDown, all right, that in the SmackDown preview that not only is Brock versus Roman title for title, it's now a winner-take-all title unification bout.
This actually should be. We shouldn't have to put the timer on for this. This is kind of news right here.
This is news. That's
They're unifying the titles, man.
It's not just, because like when Becky won at 35, it wasn't title unification. It was title for title. Both belts were on the line. Winner gets both titles, but she defended them separately.
Individually, yeah.
With title unification going on here, they might keep the 2 titles, but it's 1 title.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was back in the day before they unified it and made the 1 belt.
Yeah.
So that changes the calculus a little bit as far as what's going to happen after Roman wins. We thought maybe is it going to be a situation where he'll defend both titles in both shows? Seems like no. It's entirely possible he just stays on SmackDown, and if he's going to have a Raw feud for whatever reason, someone wins Money in the Bank, Rumble winner, so on and so forth, he'll show up on Raw then.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You like to think the booking might be interesting. Potential is there for interesting stuff, but then I think about how they've kind of booked the women's tag titles, which are, cross-brand.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been booked that effectively.
Well, the difference is there's no division for the women's tag titles.
That's a huge problem. I understand that they have yet to really ever establish an actual division of actual women tag teams. That is a problem.
Yeah.
That they need to deal with to get the booking up par to where it should be.
So ideally, here's the thing. I like this in theory. Mm-hmm. In theory, this is a great idea. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because there's always a B champion. There's always a chump, and there's always an A champion. Typically, if it's Roman or Brock holding the title, guess what?
A champ.
Whoever's holding the other title, they're the A champ. Whoever's holding the other one, they're the chump. We saw this at Survivor Series this past year when Roman Reigns beat Big E clean with no overbooking. I know there was overbooking the year before when he beat Drew McIntyre, but that's another example of Roman saying, you're the B champion. He said that in his promo. You're the B champion, and I'm going to prove it. And then he did. Mm-hmm. And so I can't stand that. I don't think there should be a B champion. And if I'm USA, I'm paying $1 billion and you can't even give me today's Hulk Hogan. I get the B squad. That's dumb. I think that there should be a top guy in the company. In theory, that should elevate the other 2 titles that they do nothing with now.
Yeah.
The U.S. title and the Intercontinental Championships. Those should be the de facto top titles for the brands if the Roman's not there. So you've got Roman in a feud with somebody, and then you can have everybody else battling for those other titles while he's in that feud. What you're talking about is execution. They don't execute very well often.
You got that right.
And so then you're in danger of just not having people not doing stuff, or more people being left off TV. You have... I think that it's probably going to be, you would think Roman's feud with whoever his challenger is, might be on both shows because USA is going to be like, why do we don't even have a top champion now?
So I'll toss this out here. So we've been saying for a while that the upper mid card main event scene on Raw is relatively loaded.
It is loaded. Yeah.
Owen, Seth, AJ, Lashley, I can go on. A lot of names that could be top champion over there. You can add Finn to that list.
Sure. Well, you can.
You can.
I don't know if Vince would. I would love
probably
that,
not, but I would. Whereas on SmackDown right now, you have Roman, you have Drew.
Mm-hmm.
They could easily build Big E to that level. Could be done. After that, after those 3 names, there's not a whole lot of depth in terms of main eventers.
There's nothing there on SmackDown.
So if you have, maybe the idea is we'll have Roman on SmackDown most of the time. He'll show up on Raw sometimes, but most of the main title feuds will go through SmackDown. So he's our top guy there. And then over on Raw, rather than having the one huge star, we'll have a wealth of stars.
Mm-hmm.
Plus over on Raw, you're still going to have Becky. After Bianca beats Becky, Bianca's star is only going to shine brighter. Dang fly in here. Sorry. So maybe that's going to be the strategy. I don't know.
I think the strategy is Roman's going to be on both shows. If you're USA, you can't, because right now they're doing what you're saying. You have all these stars loaded up on Raw, and you still have the B title, but at least that has the lineage behind it. At least that's like, that has historically been the A title when the right person has it. I think that you put Roman. I think this is kind of obvious. USA wants a top tier star on their programming. It's 3 hours. They're paying $1 billion. So they're like, hey, you can't let Fox monopolize the top draw in the company. We're going to need a little piece of that. So you just have Roman's feud plays out on Raw and SmackDown, to varying degrees of. I mean, the thing about SmackDown is that, it's not loaded with stars, but there's still plenty of people on SmackDown that don't get a lot of shine. And so if Roman's on Raw one week, which, by the way, is a perfect place for Roman because of his entrance, it takes 10 minutes.
It's true. It fills up time.
It takes up a lot of time. You have that feud either play out on both shows, or, a feud for 2 months is on Raw, a feud for 2 months on SmackDown, and back to Raw and back to SmackDown. They might figure out some goofy ass McMahonism, to sort it out. Oh, we've got the championship scramble and whatever.
So Mr. Sinister brings a point I was just about to bring up as far as how this move will affect at all brand split. Mm-hmm. Do you have the one champion that's champion of all of WWE, and then you have your two brands, Raw and SmackDown, which are mostly separate save for the top title program, and then you have the U.S. champ and IC champ being week-to-week top champions on their respective brands? Or they say, to hell with brand split. And it's then you run the risk of how it was prior to the brand split in 2016, where you have kind of roughly the same 20 people on the show, both shows every week, and maybe not as many opportunities present themselves for other people.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opinion that ending the brand split would be silly. You don't really need to end it when you've got one Look, Roman's promo tonight was everything you needed to know. I own the camera. I own the cameraman. I own the universe. I own this ring. I own you. I own you. I own you. That title that you have right there, that belongs to me. That's the whole point of the A champion. He is the end all be all. And that's why he's going to be the one guy. And then next year, assuming they're able to get him, he's going to beat Black Adam, The Rock. And that's how you get even bigger than this match. And then who knows after that? I have no idea what they can do after The Rock.
Yeah, I know. Well, then they got to find someone who's going to topple the head of the table.
Once again, I have no idea what they're going to do after The Rock, because they can't. They have dug themselves in such a hole. There is no chance they can find anybody. They can build anybody to be that guy. Brock has buried everybody on Raw. Roman's buried everybody on SmackDown.
I know. It's going to be Braun. It's Braun Breaker then.
Yeah, Braun Breaker.
I mean, he's got another 14 months.
I wonder if they look. They're just hoping. They're like, hey, if we just put everything we have into Gable Steveson. They're literally building. I mean, what stood out to me? They're building him a facility.
They're building him a performance center. I know.
He's a legit Olympic hero, et cetera, et cetera. I've heard that he's got a lot of charisma. I haven't gone out of my way to watch his interviews and stuff, but if he can really get to it,
if he can put it together,
if he connects with the audience, the problem is if he doesn't, Vince might get stubborn and just try and keep on trying. And it's just a big failure, like it was for Roman for 5 years.
Yep, totally.
Yeah,
totally. So yeah, that was kind of a huge deal. The rest of SmackDown is cool. Sasha's back. I know she came back with Rumble, but we haven't seen her since the Rumble. Apparently,
I'm starting the countdown now.
Okay, good. Apparently, she has a new tag team partner, Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to imagine that'll be the program going into Mania. Sasha, Naomi taking on Carmella, Queen Zelina. Other than that, there's a lot of off-road vehicles happening on the show.
Yeah.
We had to see Madcap Moss's awful bump from Elimination Chamber replayed several times, and he had a match again.
At least they gave us warning, and I was able to avert my eyes.
Yes.
I don't like seeing that stuff.
Yeah. And then we had the contract signing at the end between Roman and Brock. The highlight of that was Roman going off at the end saying, everything in here belongs to me.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome. I thought it perfectly encapsulates Roman right now. I thought he made a statement. Even Brock looked a bit bewildered. He was like, "Oh man, I didn't know that was I belong to Roman. That's fucked up." I liked his reaction to that, and of course he lays waste to everybody. That was great.
Yeah, that was cool.
But no, I thought, you know what, man, they're really. It's obvious. I mentioned this before. When WrestleMania is around the corner, they're in win now mode, and they're doing they're loading this card up to the best of their ability.
Yeah, they're trying to do everything they can.
They really are, and it shows. It's like WWE. The one thing they can do big pretty well.
Yeah.
The crowd was hot tonight.
Yeah,
apparently, it was a legit sellout crowd.
Yeah.
And they popped big for Minutemen for the Jackass theme.
Yes.
Big time for that. Johnny Knoxville comes off like a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he ate that second haluva kick like a champ.
Oh man, that was flush.
That was flush.
Flush.
I still feel like that didn't do as much damage as Butterbean at that
the sporting goods store. No.
Is Butterbean okay?
Yeah. So the show kicked off with Ronda Rousey coming out for an interview. She's asked why she came back for the Rumble. She talked about how she broke her hand at Mania 35. She rehabbed that, broke her other hand. She rehabbed that. She got pregnant. But she said, as soon as I got pregnant, I calculated my due date and saw, hey, I can come back for Mania. And she talks about how her mom won the judo championship while a single mother, and says she wanted to set that same sort of example for her daughter. And she says, hey, it felt great to win the Rumble at the moment, but I'm already looking what's next, and that's tapping out Charlotte. So Michael Cole talks about how, well, at Elimination Chamber, when it was you and Sonya in the ring with Ronda, one hand tied behind her back, she did fine, but when Charlotte was in there, she did fair as well. He threw the video of that, comes back, Charlotte comes down to the ramp, and she's like, oh, I gave you a little taste of a welcome back at Elimination Chamber, and it was so much fun. I actually showed you some mercy. I felt sorry for you. They had one arm tied behind your back, but it's not going to be the case at Mania, because for the first time in your life, I'm going to tap you out and remain champ. But the silver lining in all that is that you get to go home and work on baby number 2. And so this upsets Ronda. Sonya comes up behind, chop block. She gets up, Ronda does. Charlotte pulls her feet out from under her, slams her knee around the ring post. And then Sonya gets in her face and starts yelling at her, why are you such a failure? And then Ronda hits her with the throw. Sonya rolls out of the ring.
Yeah. And they're going to have a match next week. So right after that, I liked, by the way, Charlotte. I'm sorry, Maggie, but Charlotte's totally getting tapped out.
Yep.
Because they made a big deal about nobody's done this. And so yeah, she's totally getting tapped out.
Oh yes.
Of course, that sets up Ronda versus Sonya.
Next week.
Next up, we had Adam Pearce. Right. I was going to mention. Yeah. Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville watching a replay of Sonya attacking Ronda, and then he reveals next week you've got a match against Ronda Rousey. He was very specific in saying, where's your jacket? Because that's like the signifier of you're a fighter now.
Yeah, she didn't have her jacket on.
Right, because it wasn't on. After that, we had Los Lotharios versus the New Day. Pat mentioned Cole trying to get him fired at Mania for wearing shorts.
Yeah, because Pat was talking about how this would be his first WrestleMania on commentary. It's the last time I was at Mania. You try to get me fired for wearing shorts. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, Pat was making Michael Cole laugh a lot. Pat was extra tonight because he hadn't been around for 2 weeks.
Yeah. The New Day, Big E and Kofi rode out on a ATV.
Well, it's just Big E and Kofi. We have to clarify. It's not the New Day. It's just Big E and Kofi, please.
It's the
We're
New Day.
Chewing up time here. Yes,
New Day.
Please
New Day. New Day. This would not be the first off-road vehicle we'd see during the course of the show. Right. Los Lotharios and New Day have really good chemistry. Down the end, though, it all came down to whether Big E would run over Humberto Carrillo with said ATV. So Angel Garza goes up the top rope to hit a move on Kofi, and then Big E gets on the ATV and is like revving the engine.
Oh yeah,
revving the engine.
He's gonna do that.
And Angel's like, no, don't do it. So Kofi hits Angel Garza with a knee. New Day hit Midnight Hour to get the win.
Do you remember that time we saw a child almost kill a man with an ATV?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just thought about that the other day for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Were you watching an old episode of Busted Wide Open?
No. Nope, it just popped in my head.
Ian almost got busted wide
That
open.
was scary.
Oh, good old time. That was like 20 years ago. All right. After that, we had the Usos chatting up with Sam Roberts. I love Pat McAfee talking shit about Sam Roberts. We had a commercial, apparently an ad integration with Boogs and Nakamura. I did not pay attention to this.
Yeah, it was for a Toyota Tundra pickup, and they were exploring the great outdoors of Northern California.
Oh, big trucks. Oh, nice. Very nice. After that, we had Sheamus and Ridge Holland with the New Day backstage. They were like talking about the off-roader there, the ATV. Mm-hmm. And Sheamus pretty much challenges them to a match. The New Day laugh at them and then pull off in their ATV. You and I should get in one and start riding that around places. That seems like fun.
Not that interested, honestly.
Roll over some people.
So Sam Roberts, next, he interviews the Usos, and he's like, hey, you guys got a contract signing tonight. And I was like, there's 2 contract signings? Oh, wait, no, they're going to be at Roman's. So
I know. I was like, wait, who are they going to fight?
I know. I remember, they never had their match against the Viking Raiders. So they're not going to do a contract signing.
I just remembered that.
So Jay says, yes, this contract signing tonight isn't just a contract signing. It's for the biggest Mania match of all time. It's title unification bout. Jimmy says Brock has no idea what he's gotten himself into, sort of like the Viking Raiders don't know what they've gotten themselves into. And they start calling the Viking Raiders smelly, talking about how they stink.
Yeah,
and then
tank.
And then the Viking Raiders attack them.
And they say, oh, we're going to smell you. You're going to smell us. After that, we had a Zia Lee interview. She says, I'm waiting this moment my whole life. I have no idea which one.
Zia Lee.
Zia, thank you. She said she worked hard in NXT. She's dreaming about being there, competing in her first match. She's nervous but also confident because she has all sorts of great lightning powers, according to her entrance. She has a hell of a finishing kick, too.
Yeah, we saw that next, too, against Natalya.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we saw Natalya poop her pants after Zia Lee hit that spin kick to get the win. Then we had the Sami Zayn Championship, Intercontinental Championship celebration. Sammy comes out, and they've got, it's all balloons and a nice carpet and stuff. And Sammy's like, finally, justice is served. This is all I ever wanted. He says, you know what? People will say, oh, well, Sammy, isn't this proof that the conspiracy isn't true? And he said, no, it's just proof that I can beat anybody trying to keep me down. And he says there's some important business to address. He says, I'll give Nakamura a rematch, but he's still picking up pieces of his kneecap, which I shattered. He says, unlike Nakamura, I'm willing to defend the IC title against anybody. So Knoxville comes down. Huge pop for Johnny Knoxville. He's like, why are you here? And he's like, well, you crashed my movie premiere celebration, so I'm crashing your celebration. And Sammy's like, look, respectfully, can you get the hell out of my ring? And he says, well, you said anybody can challenge for the IC title, so let's do this. They sort of drop the mics. They get face to face. They talk some shit. And then Sammy's like, okay, I'm going to leave. So he starts to leave. Knoxville turns around. Sammy blasts Knoxville, puts him in a corner, haluva kick, and then a second haluva kick.
Second one's flush.
And he blasted Knoxville. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. That should be good stuff.
That could be fun. After that, we had Sami Zayn and Adam Pearce backstage, and Pearce is kind of giving Sammy the business about roughing up Knoxville, and Sammy's like, I overreacted. I'm sorry. And Pearce is like, well, you left him pretty busted up, and that's when Ricochet steps in. And he pretty much says, oh, Sammy, you said you're accepting all comers. I'm here to answer your challenge. And Sammy says, take a number, get to the back of the line. And Adam Pearce says, no, I like your idea, Ricochet. Next week, you versus Sammy for Intercontinental title.
Yeah, Ricochet's going to lose.
It'll be a good match.
Then we had they reran a match from 5 months ago. Sasha Banks versus Shotzi.
Shortly after the draft, yeah.
Yeah, and then Naomi comes out to join commentary. Like, why? She spent more time there. She was trying to figure out, because her hair, the headset wasn't getting on. Michael Cole was saying, could somebody help her with that? But she didn't really say it. She didn't say why she was out there. She was just, talking about Saudi Arabia stuff. And so, meanwhile, Sasha makes Shotzi tap out, wins the match.
Really quickly.
Naomi,
too. That match was quick.
Very quickly. Naomi grabs the mic, enters the ring, says, hey, everybody, guess what? You're looking at the next WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And then they both started celebrating.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I'm wondering if maybe they were waiting to see if Bayley could come back for Sasha. But and then they're like, oh, Naomi's great. We'll do that instead because maybe Bayley's not ready.
Could be.
And so they're totally going to win those tag titles at
they are.
At WrestleMania.
They are. So then we go to a Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin interview, and Megan, the interviewer, says, essentially, what was the exact wording? It was.
She said.
Essentially, I wonder what Naomi means by they're going to be the next tag champs.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's fairly obvious what she means.
She means they're going to win the tag team titles.
I didn't know that somebody could be more robotic than Dasha in WWE, and I specify in WWE because although I haven't seen her on AEW, I think does she do Spanish commentary in AEW?
I think
okay.
So.
She was a completely different person, like an actual human being. I'll never forget that little video meme that somebody put together of Dasha, and they like gave her a robot visage and some robot mechanical sounds because they had that poor girl like completely locked up. It's just you could tell like they just had her micromanaged within an inch of herself. And that's what I felt with Megan. I'm like, Megan, are you okay? Blink twice if you're okay.
Yeah, I know. It feels that way. So they're asked about the Madcap Moss's rough bump at the Chamber, and Corbin kind of laughs about it. And then he says, but you know what? Moss has the strongest neck I've ever seen. It could end up in disaster, but I'm happy it didn't. And he says, we saw Drew go off his rocker at the Chamber, but tonight, he says, I'm going to show Drew McIntyre who the real warrior is, and that's no joke. So Drew comes out for his match first, Corbin and Moss second. Corbin gets the ring, grabs the mic, and says, hey, this is a WrestleMania caliber match here. Are you sure you want me to embarrass you in front of everybody here in Hershey, Pennsylvania? Talk some trash about the fans. Says, nothing would make me happier than stomping you into a pulp. Speaking of something that would make me happy, Moss, he's tough as nails. He's an inspiration. He landed on his head and neck, continue to fight. He says, Moss, get on the apron. So Moss does, and he's giving some thumbs up to the crowd. And Corbin says, hey, Moss, maybe you should take this match. You deserve it. You got this.
It's like, my neck, I can't.
I know, he's literally holding his neck.
Oh,
and Corbin says, it's only Drew McIntyre. You can take him. And so they attack Drew before the bell.
Yeah, and then they have that match, and I like that Drew is going to drop him with that reverse Alabama slam again, and he was able to hold on to the ropes and do that. And at a certain point, they have Drew down. He starts running the ropes, drop him with something big, and then Drew is able to get a Claymore out of nowhere.
So because right before Moss starts running the ropes, he's yelling at Drew something like, you think you can, but you can't kill me, or something like that. And I wonder if him running the ropes a bunch was like, hey, here's proof to you. You can't keep me down. And I like that Drew just like flat-footed Claymore.
That was rad.
That was pretty cool.
It was he can do that shit out of nowhere, and it's pretty awesome. So after that, we had a Ronda Rousey interview, and he started pointing a sword at Baron, and I was wondering if like he was going to point it at the WrestleMania sign to be like, hey, we're doing this now. But then they cut away to this Ronda Rousey interview. She says, for all the times that Sonya ambushed me and bullied Naomi, she's going to show what happens when I'm going to show her what happens when authority figures step out of line. And then, of course, we had the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar contract signing, 10 minutes of entrance. Roman tells Hershey, that's where they were at, to acknowledge him. At one point, they did do a Hershey's chocolate chant, apparently. I saw that on Twitter. Roman tells Hershey to acknowledge him. Heyman gets on the mic, talks up how huge WrestleMania is, says this is bigger than Andre Hogan, bigger than Rock Austin, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, bigger than the night that Heyman himself conquered Undertaker's streak, and Brock, I'll give you half credit for that one. It said Mania will be main evented by Roman, solidifying his GOAT status, and continues. And he says that's what they call a cliffhanger. SmackDown rolls on. It was a really great cut right there.
Yeah, it was. Oh, Heyman explained that the security that was in the ring was to protect Brock from Roman.
And he made an emphasis on unification.
Yes. So we go to commercial. We come back. Brock comes down. He kind of slams the WWE title on the table, picks up the mic. He calls, he says to Roman, Mr. Acknowledgement. He calls Heyman Mr. Dick. He does his introduction a la Paul Heyman, new WWE champion. And he's like, I understand. I do have to contain myself. I'm very impulsive. But if, Roman, you think these skid mark security guards are going to stop me from kicking your ass and kicking Heyman's ass, you got another thing coming. The only thing that's stopping me from kicking both your asses is me. He says, I'm going to sign this contract. I'm going to kick both your asses at WrestleMania, and you can bet your ass I'm going to get paid for it. So Brock signs a contract. He throws the folio at Roman, and Heyman's like, all right, I've had it with your disrespect. This was just business. It was nothing personal what I did, Brock. He says, you're going to lose. Let me backtrack a little bit. He says, you're not even going to make it to WrestleMania as champion. It's not even going to be a title unification belt because you're going to lose the title next Saturday at Madison Square Garden. He's put a lot of emphasis on that match.
He has, yes. Yeah.
And I wonder why. And so he hands Roman a pen. Roman signs the contract, and
they're probably having a hard time selling tickets.
Could be. And he says, Brock, you must be confused. That WWE title is mine. You don't even realize it. I'm going to smash you at Mania. It's my show, my ring. See this cameraman over here? This is my camera. These are all my people because they acknowledge me. That commentary team is here because they brag about me. That WrestleMania sign is mine. This is my
show.
He's
walking all over the place while he's doing it.
And he's like, the intensity of it is raising with everything.
Ramping up, yeah.
Says it's my show. I run the show. Everyone is here because of me, including the security in the ring. By this time, he's outside the ring. So when he says that, the security all turns to Brock. And he lays them all out. He throws an office chair at one, rams a table into a couple of them, hits one with an F5, and hats off to the security guard who moved the mic so the guy taking the F5 didn't land around the microphone. Hits another one with the German suplex. He just lays out everybody.
That's it, man.
20 minutes?
10 minutes. It was 10.
Wow.
Yeah. Like exactly 10 minutes.
I don't really feel like we missed a whole lot.
No, man. That was great. Well
Very
done.
good.
Well done, everybody.
Very good. All right. We got set it for 7 for Rampage.
All right.
Rampage was next.
I imagine we're going to get this one done in like 3.
Yeah. So the show kicked off with Sammy Guevara versus Andrade. It's a good match.
Yeah, the shitty out. Hey, say it. Shitty outcome. Andrade should not be losing this shit clean, man.
Well, he shouldn't, and it should. I mean, I feel like Andrade's being used to advance the story, a Matt Hardy story, and not really advance his own story.
Yeah.
Because the idea now with Matt Hardy, he's behaving erratically. So at one point during the match, Andrade goes to one turnbuckle to try to get the cover off. But it seems like more like he's distracting the ref, whether he means to or not, so Matt Hardy can get the cover off a different turnbuckle. Of course, that ends up costing Andrade the match. And at one point, Andrade rolls up Sammy with his feet on the rope, and it looks like Matt comes by and tries to push his foot off the rope.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional or if it was a situation where he was supposed to kind of grab it.
Commentary, like Jericho on commentary, was trying to sell it like Hardy was trying to help him.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that this is going to cause some sort of split. They got that 6-man coming up
At Revolution, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the AHFO is going to last very long.
Nope.
Jeff Hardy's going to be here in 2 weeks or something.
The 10th, I guess, is when he can sign a deal elsewhere.
Hell of a match, though. Don't get me wrong. It
was a hell of a match. It was physical as all get out. So anyways, eventually, though, Andrade goes up top. Andrade's looking for a hammerlock DDT off the top rope, the same turnbuckle that was exposed. Sammy escapes. He sweeps Andrade's legs. So Andrade hits the exposed turnbuckle face first. Sammy hits the double springboard cutter to get the win. He didn't even need his finish to win this match. Yeah. Afterwards, Hardy's in there. Matt Hardy's in there, lay out Sammy from behind. Darby and Sting run out to make the save. Darby completely annihilates Matt Hardy with a suicide dive. And then eventually he hits Isaiah Cassidy with a coffin drop.
Wrong hole.
My goodness.
Sorry.
Yes, you're
I
right.
had to drink water.
After that, we had a QT Marshall promo. He just complains a lot about Hook, about being disrespected.
Dude, he goes on forever.
He does. He takes all the credit for Hook being a success. He says none of the credit goes to Taz. In fact, all the disrespectful behavior on Hook's part, that all stems from Taz. And he calls out Hook. He says, come out and thank me, or I'm going to bring you out here and stretch you in front of your daddy. At first, Hook doesn't until QT says Hook doesn't have the balls come out, and Hook does come out. QT sends some of his students up the ramp. Hook annihilates them all.
Well, except for one who thinks
true.
better and turns around and runs away.
Yeah.
After that, we had a Lambert in the Men of the Year promo. Lambert promised Scorpio Sky that he's going to get a TNT title shot before the winner of the Face of the Revolution winner gets it. So, I mean, that's just a guaranteed loss for Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
After that, we had Wardlow versus. Did he promise it before the match happens? Or
no. Before he promised that Scorpio Sky will get a TNT title match before the winner of the Face Revolution ladder match gets
right?
his match.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
I had winner in there twice in my notes. That's why it was probably confusing.
We had a Wardlow versus Nick Comoroto match. If you hadn't seen this, how would you guess it would go?
3 power bombs. Wardlow wins.
You'd be very close. I think it was 4.
It was 4.
Yes, you'd be very close.
But it was a competitive match because Comoroto's, he's a pretty huge dude. He could match Wardlow's power, so it was a relatively competitive bout. The finish sequence was cool because Wardlow's looking for a powerbomb. Comoroto reverses that to like an Alabama slam attempt, but Wardlow reverses that into the first powerbomb with 3 more. He gets the win.
Yeah. After that happened, of course, what's his face? The chairman.
Aaron Solo tries to attack first.
Yeah. Wardlow fends him off. Spears clobbers him with the chair. Tells Wardlow, man, this powerbomb symphony isn't working. It isn't getting over. That means a crowd reaction.
It's not popular.
He's explaining things to Wardlow. He tells Wardlow, then he get back to basics. He says, just pin. One and done. No more power bombs. Crowd just starts raining boos, right? He tells Wardlow, he says, you have so much potential. Me and Max were both very proud of you.
Yeah.
I think they hug or something.
They do, yeah. Well, Spears hugs him.
Yeah. After that, we had Serena Deeb in her rookie challenge taking on our resident Rick Rude. Kayla Sparks was not only on Rampage tonight, she was the beneficiary of the Los Lotharios kiss cam.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
She also, that might have been, this match might have been quicker than that kiss cam, though. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Deeb taps her out with a Serenity Lock.
Yeah. It seemed like every match, it's getting a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a little bit. Then we had the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker contract signing. So Thunder Rosa takes pen to paper first, tells Britt, hey, we're going to give the people what we want, a better champion. She signed.
Yeah.
What is that?
Sorry, my TV.
So
I'm a mess tonight. I'm a mess, dude.
All right. So Britt takes the mic and says, you could have just signed this and not said anything. Says the only time you're relevant is when you talk about me. He says, who made that lights out match? I didn't win. You did, Thunder Rosa. We made history. You won the match. So why was everybody talking about me? I got the T-shirt, the action figure. So who really won? And Britt continues, says, that's when you started getting bitter. Now all we have to hear about is how passionate you are about women's wrestling revolution. And Britt says, you think the title will solve all your problems, but you're never going to be me. You're never going to be the star I am, the pillar I am. He says, I was busy building this company up while you were wrestling on YouTube. You'll never be the face of AEW. Jealousy is just hatred built upon insecurities. He says, Thunder Rosa, you don't hate me. You love me. You love everything I have. It's yourself that you hate because you're never going to be me. So Britt signs the contract, and the Thunder Rosa hits like a fun splash over the table.
Yeah.
Takes out Britt. Jamie Hayter, Rebel, they start laying into Thunder Rosa. Mercedes Martinez runs out to make the save, and then Thunder Rosa puts Jamie Hayter through the table with a spine buster.
That was gnarly, too, yeah. After that, we had, Britt totally losing that title.
Seems that way.
At Revolution. After that, we had the Acclaimed and Orange Cassidy in a split-screen interview, and Wheeler Yuta, too. Orange is confused because this is a qualifier for the ladder match. He thinks that it might be a ladder match tonight. Wheeler says, no, you just have to wrestle Bowens tonight. And Orange's like, oh, I could beat him. That's fine. And then Bowens and Caster talk a bunch of shit. Orange says, I don't know, man. I stopped listening hours ago. We had that match. main event.
Yes.
At that point, Orange Cassidy versus Anthony Bowens. There was a little bit of rap stuff at the beginning where they challenged Orange Cassidy to get on the mic and drop a rap, and he did. It was as you would expect, pretty underwhelming.
Yeah.
But in the end, Anthony Bowens ate an orange punch for Orange Cassidy got the win. He moves on.
He does.
And there you go.
He does.
That was your Rampage. Look at this. Oh, man. With 4, 3, 2, 1. Boy, we're pulling these things out.
Wow.
Expertly, man.
Wow.
We're so good at that.
I guess so. I had
Right
no idea
there.
that was 7 minutes. Or was it 5 minutes?
Right there. On the dot. That was 7 minutes. Right on the dot. Completely legit. Let's answer some questions here.
Yeah, let's
from
do
the
that.
Friendos. Got a thread right here on the Patreon, patreon.com/Stephen Larson. Let's see here. First up, Alex Foster. Hypothetically, if the person who was supposed to win the Royal Rumble ended up getting eliminated, how would WWE improvise?
They would just have to call an audible right there.
I know people have been eliminated prior to when they were supposed to have been. Off the top of my head, I forget who it is.
Bailey last year apparently was eliminated before she was supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, Kofi this year.
Yeah.
Kofi this year.
Yes.
And it seemed like things were a little bit different than they probably would have been.
Mm-hmm.
As far as it being the actual winner,
I think the closest we've seen with that I'm aware of was Cena and Batista.
Cena Batista. Yeah.
They just restarted it.
And they just restarted it. But if it's like mid-match, you call an audible. I wonder if they have sort of an emergency play drawn up in case that happens where you can, a quick story beat will get them back into it. Or they just run with the runner-up and then deal with the consequences later.
Maybe.
Soak and Rose says, will Cody show up at the MSG show to face Lesnar for the title since Lashley won't be there? I suspect Cody's going to have something more to do with the Vince Pat stuff.
Yeah, potentially.
But that might just be a wild theory. I don't know.
Teal Jesus says, could they bring back Big Gold so Cody can have the same title his father had, have that moment in a new championship? I don't believe Dusty never had. I don't think Dusty ever had.
He didn't have the big gold
because the NWA title was a top belt then.
Yeah. He never had the big gold title.
Nope.
Nikyle asks, based on WWE doing biggest Mania match of all time, announcing main events for both nights, celebrity, etc., do you friendos agree with Luke Owen about WWE being really desperate to sell tickets for both nights of WrestleMania 38? Define desperate. Because clearly they want a sellout.
Yeah.
They want...
That's why they're the 2-for-1 deal.
To claim that. Yeah. But I don't know that... Look, they've been known to kayfabe their tickets. Yeah. Then they'll do it again if they need to.
Yeah. If they need to kayfabe a new indoor attendance record.
I'll be honest with you. I think
that for that stadium, they will.
I think making WrestleMania as big as humanly possible is... just good business. It shows what they do more and better than everybody else. And I mean, I don't know if this is directly the thing, but like if you can command the zeitgeist for that weekend, the pop culture, buzz, that's an important, impressive thing to potential suitors, to people who want to buy your company. So, I mean, I don't know if they actively think, oh, we want to do this so we can sell the company, but yeah, I mean, why wouldn't that be a selling point if they're looking to sell the company, which I kind of think they are. But even if they weren't looking to sell the company, there's no downside to making it the biggest ever.
Yeah. White Brownies with Sasha Banks teamed up with Naomi, and if Bailey comes back before Mania, who would make sense for her to pair up with?
Lita, like a legend or something.
Oh, Shayna Baszler.
I mean, that'd be great, but I don't really do anything with Shayna Baszler anymore.
She was on SmackDown tonight.
Backstage. She was watching TV with Mansoor. Is that Gulak?
Yeah. And Aaliyah watching the Xia Li Natalya match.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, wow. There we go. Patrick, Don Wagner, Patrick Sparks, B-Man asks, Sammy hit Knoxville with a meh and a flush haluva kick. Both were sold as such. Power rank flush as F hits and embarrassing missells. Jeez, that's a lot. That's
a lot. What, he always has these questions that demand my memory be like easily jogged, and that's not something.
He's been around long enough to understand that, like, I can't even figure out how to turn my TV down on accident.
Yeah,
you know, like it happened. Like, oh crap. Then it makes it into the show. I don't know.
Oh wow, Muted Mayday asked, next Friday can we get a Rampage review as fast as Excalibur going through that Revolution card?
Man,
we'll record it and then we'll just speed it up.
Britt says Thunder could have signed, but she had only... golly, I can't read that far. Britt says Thunder could have just signed, but she had to talk. Only time Rose... I'm turning into Braun Breaker. The only time Rose is relevant when she talks about Britt. Yeah. No, my goodness. That's giving me a headache. Let's see here. Eddie Brock's Venom. Corey Graves officially confirmed he's medically cleared to wrestle again in a recent podcast. Said he's got the itch to wrestle, but it isn't an immediate goal at the moment. But where do you see him if he does? He says, because I thought he had a world champion looks, style, promo, and everything. I think the only thing that I never really saw in Corey Graves was his actual wrestling ability. His matches that I did see were kind of ho-hum. But I'll be honest with you, that's sort of the thing that matters kind of the least in WWE. You can always get better at that with more reps and more time and the proper opponent. I thought back then he had the makings to be everything, just like Eddie Brock's Venom is saying here. I don't know if it's possible for him to dig himself away from the perception that he is a commentator guy.
That's what a lot of the fans know him as. Yeah.
An interesting challenge for him, perhaps, if he decides to jump into that.
If he chooses to embrace said challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Mayor of Planet Houston says, why does everybody want title unification? Do you think WWE will really throw away the history and the Bruno belt? No. There's been like a million different world top titles, and they just sort of bring the legacy into it.
Yeah.
I mean... they'll just combine the legacies of the Universal title, WWE title. They'll call it something like the WWE World Universal title. I don't know what they're going to call it. Right? I know. It doesn't make any sense. They're two different things. You got the universe, you got the world.
Well, one is contained within the other.
Right, exactly. You know.
It's kind of redundant at that point.
Heliocentric.
There you go. There you go.
The WWE heliocentric title.
There you go. There you go. And you have the champion, and he's like the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
In the WWE universe, there you go.
Everything revolves around the sun.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good. Multiversal title? Sure, why not? You know, Bruno, who was the first? Bruno and Finn Balor existed in the same time period. They're going to, it's like the multiverse shit, you know?
There you go. All these dream matches now.
The Earth 2 title.
There you go.
I like that. Isn't it nuts? Like the original Batman? You know, from the very first Batman comic book, he died, you know. He retired, became commissioner. He replaced Commissioner Gordon, then he died. That shit all happened.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's a different Earth, though.
It is a different Earth. It was Earth 2. Let's see here. Dave Matushek, considering we now have 5 competitors in the ladder match of Revolution, who do you think should be the last competitor, and who should he beat to get that chance?
Swerve.
Yeah, that's good. Although a lot of people pointed out the brass ring thing.
Oh, it makes sense if it were Cesaro, yeah. Yeah. Or Claudio, sorry.
By the way, I have no idea if this is true or not. I saw it on Twitter, so chances are it's not. But I saw somebody today note that they couldn't find anywhere that Cesaro was actually trademarked by WWE. Antonio Cesaro, yes, but Cesaro.
Interesting.
Maybe not. I'm mentioning this at the tail end of a podcast, and maybe nobody else has tuned into this point. So who knows if it's true or not? Don't know. If it were, WWE's been known to drop the ball before.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get to continue to be Cesaro. Maybe he doesn't want to be Cesaro.
Maybe he wants to be Claudio.
Maybe he wants to be Claudio.
Yeah.
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 Or not.
Who knows?
We'll end on this one. This is great. Dog Authority figure. With the title unification match, will we get a new belt? And if so, what should it look like? They should crowdsource it like we're going to do with our new predictions title.
Yes.
In WWE 2K22.
Yes.
That's an integration right there.
Yes. It should be all gold.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, when you watch that King of the Ring 96, Ahmed Johnson's Intercontinental title, I have no idea why they wouldn't want to go with a gold strap again.
All gold. All gold.
All gold.
All gold.
That's what you do. Even the red stripe, gold.
Yeah.
The black or blue backing plate, all gold.
All gold.
The strap, gold. The little jewels in there,
even
gold.
the thread you use to hem.
The finest gold thread.
Yes, to hem the title. Gold.
Gold. I love gold. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you'll hang out with us tomorrow night. It's 8 p.m. Pacific, so it's like 11 p.m. That's late for some of you people.
Yeah.
Maggie here in chat says, I love gold.
Gold.
Yeah. Hang out with us tomorrow night on the Twitch.
Yeah,
Thanks for
fun.
watching. Till next time, talk to you later.
Goodbye.